This is my Snowblower carburetor. Today I'm going to be removing it and swapping it out for a brand new one. This carburetor I've tried cleaning and fixing and all kinds of adjustments in the past. Nothing seems to work with it. This carburetor, once the engine's fully heated, it surges and it floods itself without me touching anything. I'll be snow blowing perfectly suddenly, it'll start racing, or it'll stall for no reason. Something inside there is wrong, and I think it's broken in some way, but I'm going to be swapping it out. These carburetors for snow blowers, most of them you can get for under $20 online with either eBay or Amazon. Amazon did not have the one I needed, so I bought my new one from one of their third-party sellers. It was $11 with free shipping. And when you're looking to put your carburetor, we'll get a new carburetor. Usually on the top of the engine, this is where you'll find what kind of carburetor you need. Mine is kind of rusted, but I was able to read it. This number is what you'll be using to find the carburetor for your machine. And I removed the electric starter. In most cases, if the electric starter is installed, it will cover it up. And it doesn't cover mine up, but it makes it easier to read. I removed the spark plug before messing with the engine, just so it doesn't accidentally start, even though I'm not really messing with moving parts. This is how the new one came inside this envelope. Inside the envelope, I found a box. Inside the box, I found the carburetor with bubble wrap around it. And underneath the carburetor is a new gasket for the machine. I'll put the old one back in that new box, just for I have a place to keep it. The carburetor looks to be in good condition. It came with a 1-year warranty from that seller. And hopefully when this is all done it works out. It looks good. It has a lot of weight to it. And the control here is very stiff, the spring, on this newer one. So I'm going to get started on taking out the other one. It actually looks the same, except the older one doesn't have this breather. And you see in the past I've done some things to it, like this bolt. That's obviously not supposed to be on the machine, but it gets the job done. First I'm going to start by taking these two bolts off. I have to disconnect all this stuff. Okay, I got the two bolts off of it, and up here I took a picture of this for I can remember exactly what hole this has to be connected to. Just gotta do some maneuvers to get this out of there. Okay, got it out. Here's the carburetor. The old seal I can't even get off, it's stuck on there. Okay. Here's this line, might be a little bit troublesome getting off because it's probably been on here for decades there. It came off. Now the other hose clamp up here, you need a pair of pliers. You've got to squeeze it shut. To get some paper towels, there is some gas left in the line that I have to get out. Okay, it's okay if I spill a little bit of gas. That gas tank's empty, not much is going to come of it. These hoses are really holding on. because these probably haven't been disconnected since the machine was made back in the 80s. Finally got it off of there. You see the end of that where the hose just came off? Okay. Now this part I have to get off. You see this? Where the knob goes? With these two small screws. It uses a Phillips. Okay. I just cracked the first one. Okay, you see that screw? Okay, and you see there's a second screw on the other end. All these, you really got to crack them. And if they give too much resistance where you'd strip them, just put some oil on it and leave it. So, that's off. Here's a new carburetor. Now the same thing is going to go right onto the new carburetor. Put it up through there. Okay, there. Okay, I got that now. Okay, that one is snug. While that one's snug but not tight, I'm going to put the other one in on the other. Okay, now I got to make sure this is in place before I put the second one in, because as soon as you put the second screw in, this you'll no longer be able to get out. Okay. Okay, that one's all tight. Now the other one, back it tighten that one up. Okay. Yeah, and there's a lot of tension on that, which is good. When the machine's running, this should work good. Now I'm going to start by putting this on the machine in a moment. I'm going to get this out and ready. Yeah, this gasket here, you see it's made much cheaper than the one from the 80s. I'm going to use the new gasket regardless, but back in the day they used reusable gas. They had reusable gaskets. So this could always be used for parts in the future. And you can see, yeah, this carburetor is full of gasoline. Okay, here I am back. There's where the new hose is going to go. The newer carburetor that's made out of brass. The other one was made out of just aluminum. Go ahead. Okay, the hose went on really easy this time because it hadn't been on here for 3 decades. Now I'm going to move the little hose clamp over carefully. Okay, the little hose clamp's on. Let me show that hose clamp. There it is. Okay, connect the other hose. This one here. See how the end of it is? It's shaped so when you put it on, it doesn't come off easily. This one you should be able to just put on with your hand, just like that. Now, actually, I just had to refer back to that picture I took to make sure I was putting it in the right hole. It's this one right there. Got to do a little bit of moving around with this to get it in. Oh, it went in really fast. Now I got to get my bolts out and put this on here. Not to forget my gasket. Here it is. Gasket, putting them in there. Okay. I just got to grab my bolt. I'm putting my bolt through the back part first, through the gasket, and through the new carburetor. It's all the way through the bolt. Gotta get that bolt. Put the nut in now. This nut has a lock washer. That's why I had to put that replacement bolt on the other side of it. The other one fell off. Now with my screwdriver from the other end. I'm not going to tighten it, I'm just going to get the nut on so it's together. This is a very tedious job if you have big fingers. With that lock washer in place, that's good because you don't have to fit a wrench in there. Okay, I'm going to tighten it so it's just snug so I can move this around still. I'm getting my other bolt out. Someday I should replace it, but at the time, not really necessary to go out and get another bolt. This one's working fine. And in case you're wondering, the hole itself is not threaded, so having a different size bolt in there, it's not a huge deal. This job is actually not too hard replacing the carburetor. It might be difficult getting it to that good position. I'm hoping it came set from the factory where I don't have to do much adjusting. That one's snug. I gotta go back to the other side. Snug that one up too. Yep, they're both snug now. It's all tight. Let me pull the lever on this. Make sure everything moves. Yep, you see it moving? That's all set. Okay. Okay, that's awesome. Now, I could start it up now and mess with it while the carburetor's exposed, but there's holes in the housing so you can fit a screwdriver in there, and you can mess with it while it's closed up. Okay, and now while everything's tight, from the old carburetor, I have this bracket that needs to come off. The reason that has to come off is because that bracket holds the housing onto the machine. Okay, off of the old carburetor, I got this part off, and it goes onto the machine like this, and it has the 2 screws which hold this on. This part is here to hold on the housing. These new carburetors don't come with all these parts. You have to take them off of the old carburetor because every snowblower is different. This carburetor here is for this engine, not necessarily the build of the machine. It's just for the engine. Now these holes must have been just machined because these bolts don't want to go in there at all. I have to drive them in there with the screwdriver. Here we go, the bolts are in. Got my ratchet here with the small socket for this. Okay, as soon as that piece is in, I put the housing back around it. And those holes you're seeing there, the threads are in that piece. And here goes the new screws right into there. And this holds the housing on it. Tighten them up. And there's one more screw up on top right there. Okay, the housing's on. Now I can put the knob and the key back in. The knob, full, off, everything's working. Put the spark plug back on, and I'm gonna try starting this up once I get this back on. Okay, I'm gonna try starting this for the first time with the new carburetor. I'm gonna first fill it up with gasoline. Okay, I'm going to start by putting the choke on the full, and I'm going to start by putting the throttle around just above the idling point. I'm going to give it a few primes, 1, 2, 3. If that's not enough, that was enough. I could see it's leaking out of the bottom of the new carburetor. So that was probably a little bit too much, actually. I'm hoping that new carburetor came with a gas filter, because a new filter should have absorbed that. Okay, I'm going to start this now. Okay, everyone. I just got it started off camera. Now I'm going to start it up in just a moment before I can show you. What the issue was this screw. This thing was out way too far, and it was flooding the engine. So I just brought it all the way up, and it is 3/4 turns out from its up position. Now the machine starts up correctly, and I'm going to show you now. Okay, the choke's on full. This is on just above the idle.